first nominee for the Ranching Hall of Fame is John Winfield Goodall. John Goodall came to Dakota Territory via Missouri, Idaho, and he was born in Portland, Oregon in 1857, the son of Oliver Perry and Louis Goodall. He left home when he was 18 years old. He worked in livery barns. He worked in overland freighters and in blacksmith shops. He began trailing cattle in Texas in 1876, which took him to Wyoming and eventually to these Badlands in North Dakota. He worked with horses and cattle, and it was important in the development of North Dakota's livestock industry. He was here to see the beginning, the height, and decline of the cattle industry in the state. In 1883, his history became entwined with Medora's when he became the foreman and livestock superintendent of the Marquis Badland Ranch here in Medora. And he was here for the massive 1884 roundup of the Little Missouri Livestock Association. Goodall married Mary Coleman in Kansas City in 1886. He had 3 children, Winfield, Clara, and Oliver. They arrived back in Dickinson that spring. He operated a livery barn. When Billings County was organized in 1888, Goodall was elected one of the first county commissioners. In 1890, he was elected Stark County Sheriff, an office he held for 2 terms. In 1891, Goodall and his brother Brooks established the Y Cross Ranch, a McKenzie County cattle and horse ranch, and he served there as a sheriff while Brooks ran the ranch. In 1903, President Roosevelt appointed Goodall the commissioner at large of all Indian agencies in the area and supervisor of the reservation livestock. By 1912, Goodall was back at the Y Cross Ranch, where he lived for 19 years until he died in 1931 at the age of 74. Usher L. Burdick wrote in 1931 that those who knew John Goodall realized fully that he was a true son of the West. To accept this nomination is Butch Goodall or Steve. I didn't know that Butch's name was Steve till today, and I've known Butch for many years. So now everybody else knows that your real name is Steve Butch. Butch Goodall.
Thank you, Gene. They say that good guys wear white hats, and I see there's quite a few of those in the crowd. People that know me best say this is my natural color. So. On behalf of the John Goodall descendants, I want to thank the members of the Board of Trustees who gave their support for John's nomination into the Cowboy Hall of Fame. It is an honor to him and deeply appreciated by members of his family. The nomination process called for a one-page biography to be submitted. I read all the information I could find, which was quite extensive, and wrestled for a couple days trying to condense it into one page. Then I thought of my brother-in-law, Dean Meyer, who most of you probably know. Now, Dean is one of those cowboys who is a lot handier with a pen than with a rope. So I asked for his assistance. Dean did his usual masterful job in a short time, without breaking a sweat, and he called me up and read it over the phone, concluding with the comment that after reading all about John Goodall and knowing me, it just brought tears to his eyes to see just how far a once well-respected family name could fall. Coco Germanson did an excellent job in her portrayals of the inductees in the Cowboy Chronicle Extra. But I would like to make one correction, though, regarding the part where John Goodall rode into the Medora Saloon, shooting his pistol and causing some of the patrons present to exit through the windows. Well, I couldn't believe that any Goodall would behave in such a manner. And after a long and exhausting research, I concluded that John was on his way to church and riding through the saloon was the shortest route. One of the Goodalls couldn't make it today because she is finally starting to act her age. Her name is Nellie Goodall. Nellie was married to Perry, who was the youngest son of John Goodall. Perry passed away in 1985, but Nellie still lives alone in her own house, drives uptown every day for the mail and coffee. Now, it's not polite to discuss a lady's age, but I had the good fortune to attend her last birthday party, so I will give you a clue. I know that she is between 89 and 91. So now, If any of you out there sitting beside an old bull rider, you could probably help them with the math here on that one. Okay. The National Cowboy Hall of Fame was started in Oklahoma City in the 1950s. Delegates from each of the 16 western states were asked to select their 2 most prominent cowboys to make up this inaugural group of inductees. The North Dakota delegation chose 2 cowboys that used to call Medora home. They were Theodore Roosevelt and John Goodall. My dad, Francis Goodall, represented the Goodall heirs at this historic ceremony. Now, nearly half a century later, I am happy that he is here for this occasion too. Dad, would you stand up and give a wave? At this point, I'd better acknowledge the person responsible for seeing that I am dressed, fed, and tucked in bed. My best friend and my wife, Patty. Holding this ceremony in this particular location has a special significance to the Goodall family, and I will briefly explain why. John Goodall first came to Medora in 1883 as a trail boss, delivering 3,000 head of 3 to 5-year-old steers to the Marcus de Moores. These steers had been purchased from the Mason and Lovell Cattle Company of Kansas City, who had been running them in the Bighorn Basin of Wyoming. After delivering the steers, the Marquis offered John the position of foreman for his Dakota Territory cattle operation. John accepted the job, and that began his life in western North Dakota. I know that more than once over a century ago, John rode across this very ground that we now occupy. In conclusion, I'd like to direct one comment to those members that served on the board of directors and all those that were involved with the site selection committee. It was a tough job, but you scored 100. Medora is the place for the North Dakota Cowboy Hall of Fame. Thank you.